3 shots, 4 par, I just do 2. 1 putt, par 4, birdie, woohoo. New driver, info, replace, M2, par 5, fairway, what you fin do? Think I'll try to get on into. Start right, good line, good view, it drew. Shooter McGavin.
Okay, we're rolling. We're into it. The clap start. Right. Did you do a clap start?
Yeah.
Oh, I did.
I thought you did. I thought that's what you were reaching for.
Who does that? I feel like
I did.
Trent and Frankie.
That?
Trent and Frankie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then RAS, hello everybody.
So we'll try we'll try and do our own thing. We're not copying that. Frankie's take. Frankie's take on what's a hole in one and what isn't a hole in one.
Oh, that rattled my
man, it's just so ridiculous.
That was incredibly naive.
I'd love to Can we piggyback on that real quick and just get our opinions real quick?
Because what's Frankie? A 10, Trent's like a
20, I think.
Max.
21.
So, like, you hit a hole in one.
No, if he's not freaking 90, he's not a 20.
Yeah, you hit a hole in one.
I think he's like a 22.
You write it down, you have a good time with it. Is it a hole in one, Jake? Is it a hole in one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. So that's it.
I don't know how there's any debate on that topic. Yes, I don't care if you've already played the hole once.
My head went
other between it. Who cares?
Yeah, my head also went right to like members. Like they play the same hole every day.
Hold on, boys. Let me take this to another level. Yeah. Let me take the degree of this to another level. Let me explain all of it, and then we'll get our opinions on it, and then we'll get into this.
All right,
so guy at the club goes out in the morning. Plays it or whatever, plays his round, whatever it is. The guy's a pretty good player. I've only played them once, but he's a stick. He's like a 1 or 2, solid player. Goes out in the afternoon. We got a club that's kind of moved some things around, so it's a par 3 to start.
Wait, he already played around in the morning, sorry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jars it on the first hole. Makes a hole in one in men's league. They also have like the meat dog prize on that hole or whatever it is. It's a case of beer or something, whatever it is. And they tell him he's ineligible because he played the morning before. Or the morning of, sorry.
Oh, that's crap.
Let me go one layer deeper. This is the guy who sets the pins anyway at the club.
So what does it matter?
So what does it matter? So, like, doesn't that just...
Well, here's my other thing to that, right? Like, I played at a club with somebody in Detroit, and their club is 9 holes that you play twice.
Okay.
So, like, it has a 18-hole scorecard, but you play 9 holes twice.
So does that count? Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. That has to count because you're playing the 12th hole at that point. Like, you're not playing the third hole for the second time. You're playing the 12th hole. Like, I don't know. That argument was so weird. Like,
I also highly disagree with them saying hole-in-ones don't count on like par 3 courses. Like, I feel like they totally count.
Yeah. Yeah, like,
I mean, it's just like you're just playing. You get 18 chances at a hole in one instead of 4 or 5. Like
if you get a hole in one at the Cradle, they put your name on a board. Like,
yeah, exactly.
There we go. That is a hole in one.
Yeah,
at least we're on the same page. I like that.
Yeah, I remember asking too. Like last year, I asked at my club, and they were saying that kids were trying to like say that they were getting hole in ones to go in a trophy, and I was like, what does that have to do with me? I just want something. I just want my name and a plaque in the ground on the tee block. Like, is it really that big of a deal, right? Nothing. We got nothing.
So, at my club, the other day, at my club, I was hitting the ball really well the other day. Like, proximity to the hole was crazy the whole day. I had just built a new set of irons, and they were phenomenal. And I'm on, like, the 16th hole, which is a par 3 for us. That's, like, 20 yards downhill over a creek. And it was playing at, like, 150-something. Easy shot. But our club has a rule that for a hole-in-one to count for recognition, you have to have 2 other members witness the shot.
Oh, okay.
I'm playing by myself, right? First off, I think it's dumb that you can't just do it with one person because if you're the person that's going to make up a hole-in-one, like, you're just a bad person.
Yeah.
But B, so these 2 high school guys were up in front of me. I had caught up to them at 16. They had just gotten off 16, and I yelled at them. I was like, hey, stay right there just in case. Sure enough, these kids, they stared behind the green. I'm not kidding, guys. I hit the pin on the bounce.
Oof.
And it went to about 5 feet.
Yeah.
I hit the flagstick. And they turned around and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm actually glad we stayed. And I was like, I'm telling you guys, there was something going on today. I just needed to be sure. So that was hilarious. But yeah, it's a stupid rule, I think. But
that's a ludicrous rule. And I also think like when you're
Weird.
GM of a club or you're the Pro Shop Super, whatever it is, like you got to kind of know who you're talking to. Like, you know, if somebody's lying. Like I went in there and when he was saying, oh, like we've had like younger kids abuse it and stuff like that, I was just like, that's cool.
Well, public and private's a little different too.
Not really. Like, so it's like a semi-private course where I am, and like I feel like you just got to recognize your members. If you don't want to do anything for the public, like that's fine. But if you got a member who makes a hole in one, like you gotta, But anyway, so guy made a hole in one, so we're all in agreement that was a hole in one. Also,
he 100% made a hole in one.
Yeah, we should. I got a couple shout outs because I know my buddy Kirk. He always likes when I talk the good stories about him. So, yeah, so he made a hole in one on day one of a bachelor party. So pretty epic story there. I think it cost him a few grand. Yeah. It's $2 or $3 grand. It's not a cheap hole in one, so worth it though, right,
I hate
Kirk?
That rule too.
Yeah, bro. Everyone should buy you drinks.
Yeah, I hate that rule. Why did I do the good thing and I have to punish my bank account for it?
That's just how it works. I don't know
if we're changing that. I can't even afford to golf. Like, how would I afford to buy everyone drinks?
And
I was
then
barely able to take my tea time.
Brycer, I don't know if you saw, but Keaton Viet, KV got one just 3 days ago. So it's like,
what is that, the 5th hole in one?
Wow, we got so many hole in ones on the pod. So many hole in ones. Like Bryce and I are convinced that it has something to do with like talking to us.
The juju is real.
I don't know.
Oh, I'm in for that.
Yeah, so you're gonna go out and make one now, Jake, and we'll come back and we'll talk about it. We do have to put together the hole in one pod. Like we want to do a pod where it's just segments of 3-minute clips of everybody's story or something.
Like we just put on our Instagram story, hey, who wants to come on and tell a whole one story? And we just fire people in just one after another.
We just clip it. And we just have, just a pod versus like just based completely on hole in ones.
Like 20 stories of hole in ones.
Do you have one yet, Jake?
No.
Okay,
I have been.
It's coming.
I've been damn close. Yeah,
it's coming.
I actually my closest one was at the Cradle at Pinehurst. It was the very first hole.
That'll be all right.
I was like, it was a perfect night out there. We were obviously like everybody's shoes off. I borrowed some like random old, I think Vokey SM5 from the little Pinehurst shop. I refused to play anything. Like a bunch of guys were carrying around sets of wedges and I refused. I took a 58 degree and that was the only club I was using the whole time. For no other reason than the drinks impacted that decision.
Yeah. That'll do it.
And yeah, so it went up, it hit the flagstick, actually hit the side of the cup and then came out and it was sitting on the edge of the cup.
That's a spinner, man. It
was hilarious.
I've had two since my hole in one. I've had two that have been an inch and just didn't go.
Oh. I've hit a couple of pins. Hit a pin on a pro shot the other day. Hit the pin. Oh, I hit the pin on one, like which is a par 3 hole. Like it's a par 3 at our course, and 10 in the same round, which was pretty cool. 10 on the approach, But both of them rolled out to like 15, 20 feet though, which is unfortunate. But
yeah. Sometimes that pin does you dirty.
So we're getting deep here. So thanks for listening to the hole in one stories and stuff and whatnot. But we're Jake Morrow, founder of Made for the Range.
Yeah.
Good? Okay. Cool. All right.
One of the better logos too. Just a nice.
We make up titles and stuff like that. So hopefully that one was okay with you. But founder.
It makes me sound important.
Yeah, I like it. So, we've built a little chat before, but a lot has changed since you were on last time. So we decided to, pump the brakes on that one and just go ahead and do a re-record. So maybe just kick us off, Jake, if you don't mind. You're a natural at this. Kind of let us know who Jake Morrow is, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, sure. So I started in the golf industry, like officially, just about 2.5, almost 3 years now. I worked at a major club fitter and just like fell in love with golf equipment, I'll say. So a long time ago, I got introduced to golf like from gearheads. So like that was my introduction to golf, was like club sluts. And to understand how the equipment helped my game and like to be brought into golf what I believe is the right way of understanding your equipment and having the right equipment from the start to help you play better golf faster was huge. Like I always appreciated it. And then I took a big break from golf when I moved out to the East Coast, and then came back like now and got back into it. Started doing content for that fitter. Fell in love with the ability to interact with people, engage with people, answer questions, provide any sort of like value I could for those people, just because I think that educational information in today's world, I don't believe you should have to pay for it. And I loved the fact that, one of the few good things about the internet is if you're willing to put the work in and provide that information, you can do so. And however many people want to watch it and engage with it can do so. It's a cool part of it. And then stepping away from the fitting world, I think that fitting is the best way to buy clubs. I'll stand on that statement forever, but I also am not naive enough to know that, the majority of golfers are not going to get fit for their clubs. They're going to buy them from a retail store. And my goal now is to better educate that customer. I want them to understand why there are different sets of clubs on the wall, why manufacturers have more than one option, even with the same brand. And, more importantly, I think it's actually easier to answer the question of like, what should you not buy, right? Like, what should you not even test? What is not going to work for you in any way, shape, or form? And you should just ignore any information you see on that product because it wasn't built for you. So I want you to focus on what was. Yeah, and that's
talking
the goal.
about blades for everyone else to know.
Well, yeah, blades.
I'm just kidding.
Blades, 70 TX tipped and inch shafts. What are some other good like ones? Using slant neck putters when you have a straight back, straight through stroke.
Really small 400cc driver heads.
Yeah. Oh, and golf balls. Oh my gosh, golf balls, man. Like, if you want the quickest way to drop probably 2 strokes off of your scorecard immediately, stop playing the Titleist Pro V1 and go somewhere where you can get fit for a golf ball. And if it's the Pro V1, wonderful, fantastic, amazing golf ball. If it's not, then switch. Don't ever touch it again. And you strokes will be saved so phenomenally easily with a golf ball.
Mac here from Manscaped, the best in men's grooming. We are back with a limited time offer on the Performance Package 4.0. If you're not watching this on YouTube or on Instagram or somewhere that we have this video posted, you should go look because I'm going to show you everything in each one of these lineups. The Performance Package 4.0 comes with the Crop Reviver, the Crop Preserver, the Weed Whacker for the nose. This thing would take down Eugene Levy, and the Lawnmower 4.0. We scroll down to the Platinum Package. It includes the Crop Preserver that we already talked about. You can't see it in the screen. Over there is a Crop Reviver, the body wash, shampoo, and conditioner, plus the deodorant, said Weed Whacker, said Lawnmower 4.0. And on top of that, you're going to get free boxers, my favorite pair of all 3 pairs that I own, my favorite toiletry bag of 2 toiletry bags that I own, free shipping, plus 20% off using the promo code OTSGolf over at manscaped.com or manscaped.ca. The best in men's grooming. Let's get to the back nine. All right, so that's a good spot to start, Jake. So why so much with the ball fitting? We've had this conversation with Mikey. I know you guys are buds. So, and I don't think we really went in depth into why the ball would change the score so much for somebody, but let's treat this as a learning experience, a learning pod. So why would you say the ball makes such a difference for the average golfer?
Yeah. So actually, you know what? I have a very good example of this. I don't know where my other, okay. I'm going to use the weirdest example that you probably thought I was not going to bring out.
Okay.
These golf balls.
Wilson?
The
Max Fly.
No, Max Fly.
The custom club special.
Yeah. So I I started recommending people to Ballnamic. So Ballnamic is an online golf ball fitting tool that I think every single golfer at every single level should pay the $50 for, or $10 if you split it between friends. Which wink wink will be available in Canada soon. Just it will be. I promise you. I know that they've told me. If you can't get on it, pay somebody in the United States to do it for you. So like that tool kept recommending specifically the MaxFly Tour X, this one. And I was like, all right, I had seen 6 people that I recommended use the tool get fit into that golf ball. And it was all of the people that had selected the I care about value, like slider on Ballnamic. Mm-hmm. And so then I went in, I redid my ball fit, which I got fit for Chromesoft X and Bridgestone BXS. I went in, I clicked the value slider. Sure enough, MaxFly Tour X pops up immediately. And I was like, okay, so I got to go buy this golf ball. So I bought I bought a box of each of their golf balls. And it is a almost flawless line of differences. And that's super important to me. Like there are some lines out there where it, between the brand's own models, it really doesn't matter what ball you play. But in this case, different. And I'm going to use my partner at my club as the perfect example. So my partner at my club is in his upper 60s. He's a 22 handicap right now, and he hits his driver about 170 yards on a good day. So Charlie and I were playing, and we played buddy matches. So through our first couple buddy matches, he would hit his irons, and he would land on the front fringe, and he would roll off the back of the green. So I'm like, all right, Charlie, we got to fix this, man. Like, I can't keep watching you do this because it's killing you. And so he switched to the Bridgestone RXS, the low speed one. And sure enough, right away, he's hitting 7 irons now that hit the front of the green and they stop in the middle of the green, right? So that alone, Charlie went from he was at a 24, and actually, I now believe he's at a 19. And the only thing we have done in that time period is switch his golf ball. So it's allowed him to putt more than have to chip. He hates chipping, right? He's not that's not his game. He's a very good putter. So if he's on the green, it's very rare that he's not going to 2-putt. So him being on the green more often, solely because his golf ball wasn't rolling 30 yards, immediately left him probably 3 or 4 strokes around. I mean, it was a significant difference. And then you take like a higher skilled person, and like my switch from Chromesoft X LS to Bridgestone BXS was huge. Like I can hit a shot now, 50 yards and in, and not have to worry about my distance control on the wedge, right? I can just aim at the pin, and it's gonna stop immediately. I can hit my driver a lot more comfortably. I lost like 6 yards, you could call it. If you ever notice 6 yards on a course, I would commend you for that. It's very hard to notice 5 or 6 yards off the tee when you're actually playing golf. But I'm able to control the ball, and it stays up in the air. A lot of people, I get messages all the time. Everybody's like, my miss is a big duck hook that just falls out of the sky. Like, okay, well, either your equipment's too low lofted or you're playing a golf ball that doesn't spin enough, right? Spin helps the ball get in the air and then stay in the air. That's the whole point. And people, everybody has this notion that like, well, I need the most low spin equipment. I need the most low spin equipment. I need the most low spin equipment. Well, today's golf equipment, right? Heads specifically are all super low spin compared to even 6 years ago. Like it's crazy how low spin some of this stuff is now. And they've done that by, decreasing loft. They've done that by lowering CG. And to combat that, like I've seen so many people move from a low spin ball into a higher spin ball because they don't want to change their equipment. They're so used to it. And it makes a difference immediately. It's the same thing that happened to me. And then once it happened to me, I started just preaching it to everybody that would listen for any short amount of time. Like, switch your golf ball and you'll have advantages. It's also, it's a $50 switch, right? As long as you do Ballnamic. So let's call it a $100 switch instead of buying a new driver or a new set of wedges or a new whatever you want to call it, Hopefully that wasn't too long-winded.
No. And it's one of those things too, because we all play with guys who just like will grab whatever ball's in the bag. They might have picked up a handful in the course. Like I got one buddy who's always kind of going through. Yeah, and Bryce are here shooting a 66 with the Kirkland Sigs. Like
that's right.
It can happen, right? Jake's just like ready to puke. He's just
Dude, the Kirkland signature is the. Oh man, I'm gonna say this wrong, and somebody's gonna watch this and yell at me. But like the Kirkland signature, somebody told me at one point is like a top 5 recommendation on Ballinamic. Like of all the people that have been through Ballinamic, it's a top 5 because it's a spinny ball, right? Like it's a spinny ball that for a lot of there's a lot of guys that go on Ballinamic and they check that value slider, right? Yeah. So Ballinamic's not serving them Pro V1, TP5, Bridgestone B, Strixon, Z-Star. Like they're not serving them those options. So it's super interesting to watch that happen and like see how Kirkland gets positioned in there. But that's why like these, I would tell somebody to buy this ball before they bought a Kirkland ball. There's no doubt about it. The other thing with those, they're so durable.
Yeah, they are. It's so weird to me though, because I need less spin. I'm such a high spin player that it doesn't make sense why I can hit the Kirklands, but I don't know.
I think too, the more you hit them, like it's kind of like hitting your irons, Bryce. The more you hit them, the more you'll learn how to kind of play the ball, right?
Yeah,
and you'll play different yardages based on that. The interaction with it, the time of the year, like there's so many different things that can kind of impact that, right? But it sounds like, just like we learned last week, getting fit for clubs, getting fit for a ball is also a good idea. So it's becoming a bit of a trend here.
Yeah, I want to out nice Mr. Martowitz. He shouted me out on his little segment, and I gotta say he is. I think people don't understand how much value Mike adds to the golf industry. Like I really just don't think people understand. Because a lot of it's unseen, right? Like they don't see a lot of what Mikey does. But yeah, I mean, talk about just an incredible dude. Like I'll call him. I texted him the other day and I was like, hey, I need you to not think that I'm a first grader when I ask you this question. And like, I literally texted him, I'm like, dude, my brain's not working right now. Can you help me out with this? And he just like picked up the phone. He called me and he's like, hey, here's how this goes, blah, 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 blah. And we were done. Yeah. And so stuff like that's cool. But yeah, I mean, like, I've gotten the question a lot lately, like, do I not believe in fitting? Do I think people shouldn't get fit? Am I trying to provide this information to discourage people from fitting? And it couldn't be further from the case, obviously. I'm leaning into the fact that there's a giant market that, believes that. Yeah, well, and, it's also a market that believes that something that says an influencer's name on it is a good performing product, right? I don't like that either.
Yeah.
And, if I can help that person, that's
2 trillion golfers under the age of 20 that are going to be getting good gear and stuff like that when the Callaway.
Yeah. Well, it's also money aspect too. Like it adds such an extra cost on getting new golf clubs. Like you're already spending X amount of dollars on the golf clubs. I know some people say, why don't you just spend a couple more bucks? But like some people don't have that. Like it gets expensive when you get into the full bag custom fittings and stuff.
Yeah, it can. Yeah, it can be 5 figures like we were learning last week, right? It's not cheap, right?
Oh, easily. Yeah. I mean,
it's the investment. It's kind of what you want to invest in your game too, right? So if, there's different layers that you can take to it, but
it's a tricky segment too. Cause like, working at a fitter, there's a hard balance between using the fitting as education and making money, right? Like,
right.
If, those companies cannot operate on their fit fees, right? I'll say it that way. They have to sell golf clubs. Those companies also, just a little tidbit for everybody that doesn't know, TXG included, which somehow they're club champion Canada, sorry. They're included in this statement of like, they don't get sent clubs and then take those clubs apart and build your clubs. That's not how that works. They get sent components. So they get sent separate heads, separate shafts, separate grips. They get charged for that club head the same amount that a retail store gets charged for the whole build because of how cheap the grips and shafts are to those manufacturers once they get them in the quantities they get them at. People don't understand that. So everybody's like, well, where's my shaft that I should get for free? Well, dude, that shaft costs 10 cents. it's probably a fake version of the real shaft, unless it's like a Project X hazardous, right? Like the Ventuses are not full line Ventuses. The AVs are not AV Raws. Like, you know, they're light versions because they're made to be 10 cents on the dollar for these manufacturers that have to put them in hundreds of thousands of clubs. And people just, they can't seem to wrap their brains around that. Like, it's a really hard concept for them to understand because they don't understand why you have to pay, you know, $600 for your Paradigm head, and then you got to pay $350 for your Diamana, and then you got to pay you know, $15 for your grip, and then you got to pay $40 for somebody to put it together, and then you got to pay $40 if you want it piered, which is a different issue, and then you have to pay like your tax on top of that, right? So you're talking about a $600 Paradigm becomes a $1,200 Paradigm, like that, but you get exactly what you got fit for. You get the build that you paid for. You get an extreme warranty behind that. That any reputable fitting company is going to make sure that that thing performs flawlessly, or they're going to fix it. Like I know that that's true.
Are perfect. Weight, weight,
exactly.
Everything.
Yeah. And if it's not, they will fix it, right? Like Club Champion Canada, Cool Clubs, PXG in their internal stores, and TrueSpec. I know people at every single one of those places, and if you have a problem with the clubs that you got delivered, they will fix it, and it will not be on you for that to happen. So that's, you know, like you can't say that about PJ Tour Superstore or Dick's Sporting Goods, or even if you buy your clubs online from some of these manufacturers now, right? Like the specs those clubs are at are the specs they're at.
Yep.
That's what you got, you know?
Yeah, and I think too, like to add a little point to it, I'd encourage anybody to go look on like Marketplace or Kijiji or whatever you got, eBay. Like these shafts are like worth nothing. People are selling them for absolutely nothing, and there's a reason why if you list it for $100 or more or whatever, wherever you are, it's just gonna sit there and wait because it's just somebody just pulled it out of there and put a better shaft in that was meant for them, right? So getting the shaft isn't really gonna do you all that much. It's not like it's going to make a $600 difference, or just because like my 6X Velocore says $500 on this tag and the, you know, 6S blue that doesn't say Velocore is worth $40 on Marketplace, right? It's like there's a big difference. I think that's kind of what Jake is alluding to or talking to, right? So
well, it's also the Project X hazardous small batch. It's like the same type of deal there, right?
Yeah, like small batch is aftermarket only. Denali right now from True Temper is aftermarket only. You know, like and Project X is one of the companies that everything is the same. So if you get a hazardous black in your stock club, it's the same as the aftermarket hazardous black. There's no difference.
Right.
Same thing with the whole lineup, right? Like, but they do have their aftermarket upgrades. They have the RDX, which is an aftermarket version of their stock offerings. So it just depends, right? And like the other thing too, one of you just said it, like if you don't want to pay $1,200 for your driver, you can go get a stock fitting at a local golf club, at a PJ Tour Superstore, at an Edwin Watts, at a Dick's Sporting Goods, at a Golf Galaxy, and you can swap shafts in one of the heads they have. You're going to have 2 or 3 options per head, and that's great. Figure out which one of those is best for you, and that's kind of my deal, right? Like that's the understanding that I want to have people have. And I think I talked to you guys this last time, but I walked into a retail store. I walked into PGA Tour Superstore, and they had for TaylorMade and Callaway, the heads and the shafts were in a display separate, and so you could go into the little demo bay, figure out which one you wanted, and then you brought the shaft and the head up to the pro shop counter. They gave you your wrench, they put it together, and they gave you your head cover, and then you went and checked out. And I thought that was the coolest thing I've seen in golf in years, because even if it's just the stock high launch and the stock low launch option, it gave you a choice to go in the demo bay and understand it before you walked out the door, right? And it was leading you into that instead of hoping that you would do it. And I think that the more we can do to lead people into that understanding or that ability that they have to make that decision, the more better educated golfers are going to be, and they're going to play better golf, right? Which means they're going to enjoy golf more, which means they're going to get new people into the sport in the right way, and we can grow from there. I don't love the phrase "grow the game" for a lot of reasons, but when you talk about helping the game, I think that's a huge way to do it.
All right, before we move on from fitting, if there's any one club in the bag or a golf ball that we're going to overlook, what's the easiest one to overlook? What's the easiest club? We're going to break them down. That's such a hard question. You can't say the ball now, man. You've talked about the ball for 10 minutes now. We can't.
Yeah,
in my opinion, it's driver. Right?
Yeah,
what was your question, Max? Sorry,
what's the least important to get fit for?
Oh,
yeah. You said the most. Oh, you said the most overlooked, possibly.
Yeah, what could you? Okay, overlooked. Yeah. What could you overlook the easiest? I guess. Like what?
I mean, that's the golf ball for sure.
Yeah, but is it though? Is it the golf ball? Because if we're talking about making up a couple of strokes for your average,
hold on.
player,
are you saying what's the most overlooked, or what is the least important to be fit for?
Let's say what's the least important to be fit for?
Putter. It's got to be putter.
Because there's so much feel to it, right?
Yeah,
and you can extremely easily manipulate your putter to work better. Man, that's gonna maybe make some people angry, but like Charlie, like my partner at the club, last year I brought out like, I don't know, 25 putters to our club one day, and I was like, Charlie, pick one.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, and he ends up with a Spider GT. No, yeah,
Spider GT. Was it?
Yeah, it's a Spider GT. No, it wasn't one of mine. It's a Spider GT with a slant neck, and he started putting great with it. He loved the feel of it. He likes the look of it. I put a cool grip on there, and he thought that was great. This year, we were at the senior club championship, and in the morning, he comes over to me. I went there to just like sit with him and kind of caddy the whole day. He comes over to me in the morning, and he's like, Jake, I can't make a putt within 3 feet right now. I need you to help me. And I was like, all right, let's take a look at it. So somebody I found out had told him the week before that his putting stroke that he was coming off the line in his putting stroke. And I was like, Charlie, whoever told you that doesn't know what they're talking about, because he has a slant neck putter. That putter is meant to open and close, right? So going straight through, he was missing every single short putt to the left because he would try to keep it super straight back.
Right.
But then when he came to impact, he was closing the face because that's what it's meant to do. And so I told him, I was like, Charlie, when you take the club back, all I need you to do is rotate your wrists just ever so slightly, let that club face open, and then just bring it back through like you normally would. He makes like 10 putts in a row from 4 feet, right? And he just turns to me. He's like, I don't understand where you get that information from. And he actually said, because he's been with the website, obviously with me for months, and he looks at me and he goes, is this the kind of stuff that's going to be on that site? And I was like, yes, Charlie, this is exactly what's going to be on the site. And because like that little understanding of something as old school as every putt has to be straight back, straight through.
Right.
It's crazy, right? But in that situation, like I didn't need to get Charlie a face balanced putter. I needed Charlie to go back to the stroke that he already had, which was the reason he picked that putter in the first place, right? Mm-hmm. That putter supports the putting stroke that Charlie has. It's not fighting it. If he starts changing his putting stroke and tries to go straight, then he's affecting his own ability to play better.
See, I've said that to people too when they like they'll be rolling like, so I've been rolling like off the heel like my whole life, and like I got a couple buddies who've gone and like gotten a Del Mar or something like that. Like I roll it pretty good, and
sure.
then all of a sudden they're like changing to a claw and they're changing to like different types of grips, and I'm like, like if when you tried that putter, you started rolling putts with that, you had success with that. Like if you change up your grip, that is not going to fix anything with that putter at all.
100%.
It's just kind of like, I don't know. That's why. So back to the question. Yeah, I think the putter is definitely something that you.
Yeah, I would.
You gotta.
I would say the putter. The huge benefit of a putter fitting is to understand your putting stroke.
Right.
It really has nothing to do with the putter that you end up with. It's to understand your putting stroke, and that's actually, it's one of the reasons why I like Sam Putt Web better than Quintek. because Sam Putt Lab focuses on your putting stroke and Quintech focuses on your launch data. It's like TrackMan versus GC Quad.
Yeah.
And that's why, like cool places will use both, right? Like if you go get fit, by Toulon, they'll use both. He'll use ball launch data to figure out like loft and stuff, but he'll use Sam Putt Lab so that you can figure out lie angle, face direction, face angle, and hollow type.
You're only gonna get so much from like launch angle, right?
Especially on a putter, right? Like it's using Quintech. Like there's a lot of good things about Quintech, obviously, but it's just I just like Sam because there is no ball data with Sam, right? Like it's just focusing on your putting stroke. So the $125 that it takes for most places to get on a Sam Putt Lab for an hour, 1,000% super worth it. It is super cool. That is the easiest. It's easier to do a putter fitting and understand your putting stroke than it is to do a club fitting and understand your swing. It's 1,000 times easier.
My putting stroke's barely changed in 20-something years.
I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't even tell you if I go straight back, straight through, or if I have an arc. I couldn't tell you. And I'm sure 90% of golfers couldn't tell you what their stroke looks like.
Just next time you're putting, phone, slow-mo video, have a buddy hold it over your putting stroke, done.
Yeah.
Right?
All right, Jake. Well, I think this is a good segue. You want to go into what your platform is, kind of dumb it down and give specifics on what the platform is?
Yeah, sure, man. So the website, I'll talk about that first. So the website was huge for me because I wanted a place that people could land right after they did something with me. I'm not offering fittings. I don't have a facility. I don't have like physical things to do with people, right? So the website was important to me because that is my location. That's where people can go to find everything. Right now, the visible part of the website is the Learning Center. As of this moment, I've got 3 of those sections are sponsored. Those sponsors have exclusivity of their product within their sponsored section. And then they also financially support the website, which is super cool, as well as giving equipment and stuff like that and cool giveaways. The beauty of that, and I've had some people ask this question already, the beauty of that is that that's where their exclusivity stops. So like, I'll use True Temper, for example. True Temper is the sponsor of the learning section for shafts. And that means that I'm using their product to demonstrate all of those topics. What is shaft flex? What is kick point? Should I play the same profile in my driver and my fairway? Like whatever the topic is, I'm using their products to help demonstrate. But that's where it ends, right? So I'm going to be reviewing Mitsubishi, Fujikura, graphic design stuff. I'm going to be doing fits with those brands. I'm going to be doing influencer stuff with those brands. I can do giveaways with those brands. And it was very important to me in making those contracts with those sponsors that they understood that. And they were great about it. There was no argument to it. They understand that, being more brand agnostic helps everybody. So it was easy. But the Learning Center for each section of the bag is going to be a growing entity. So right now there's at least 12 topics for each of the 3 sections that are currently up, and then the other 3 sections will all be up before the end of October. Whether they're sponsored or not, that content will be up there. And then the idea is that as people read through those topics and they jump around the site, and I have the main page for those topics kind of set up like a Pinterest board. I love how user-friendly Pinterest is and how you can just see what the point of it is, and then you click on it, and that's what you're reading.
This is a quality
that's the first
site,
thing I
Jake.
said to you when I opened it.
This is a quality site, man. It's really well put together. Madefortherange.com. If anybody sort of cut you off there, but if anybody's kind of listening at this moment, it's in the show notes below. Scroll down, click it, take you right to the website as you're listening to this pod too. Go ahead, Jake. Sorry.
Cool. No, that's great. Thank you. So then in sometime in September, I will also launch a read section, or I don't know what the tab's going to say. I think it's going to say read, but that will be where everything else is housed. So like product overviews, concepts outside of educational stuff, some influencer stuff, some like industry interview stuff that I'm going to get to do, some trip stuff like that kind of thing. Just anything that isn't directly an educational topic will be there. But the beauty of the Learning Center is that as people jump around, and a question pops up in their head and somebody sends me a DM, or they answer one of the FAQs that I do pretty frequently on Instagram, or they just leave a comment on something. When they ask a question, I don't care how granular the question is, right? Like when they ask that, I can make a full dedicated page for that question. I can make a social post for that question, and then I can feed that answer to those people in the format of which they choose to interpret it, right? Like whether you like to read, whether you like to watch social content, or in the future, if you like to watch YouTube content, you can choose to interpret the content in however you would like. But the topics are all green, right? They're evergreen. They're not going to go away. They'll always be there. Sometimes some of the topics will be kind of close to each other. Like you'll see a lot of overlap in topics, and that's purposeful. That is meant so that people can jump from one topic, and they see a vocab word in one page, they can instantly go to that vocab word on the other page that explains that word. And the idea is that this can grow with an audience, and that the audience grows in knowledge maturity to where they understand what they're buying, they understand how to buy it, and in the future they understand the benefits when they're ready to invest of getting properly fit clubs. I don't think that anybody should be a retail customer forever. I think that at some point in your golf career, you have to understand when it is appropriate for you to invest that money into a fitted set of clubs. And that's, there's also different levels to that, right? Like there's a boutique fitting that's component based that you have to pay a ton of money for. There's a retail fitting, like there's a country club fitting. A fitting is a fitting, and that's good. Yeah, that's what's up there for now. Got some wild stuff for 2024, but we'll jump on another one in the future and talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
All right, I got one. I'm looking through the grip section here. This kind of
right.
I've always had the same grip, same two grips.
Okay.
I got the MCC black and whites, just standard size, and then I've always had the baby T, so I've rolled the baby T for a long time. I tried to play around with actually like the Super Stroke 3.0 for a little bit just to see, but so how do I phrase this? This isn't like a question, more of a statement, and then you kind of run with it. So field putters play with pistols. Right. Field putters play with pistols. Players who maybe struggle with their putting or don't have as much feel play with a bigger grip, whether that be a 3.0 or 5.0, 2 or something like that. What are your thoughts when somebody says something like that to you?
I don't work in absolutes.
Okay.
Is what I would tell them, right? Like I don't work in absolutes. I think that I don't want to say, like, if I say I disagree with that statement, it feels like I'm trying to be negative about it. Like, I understand what that statement would try to say, right? Like, the smaller the grip can be, hypothetically, the more you'll feel it in your hands, the more you'll be able to take that feedback from the head and use it for your advantage in whatever your mental state is for your putting. I would say, like, I play a 38-inch putter with a 135-gram graphite shaft on a head that has an insert and a 3.0 grip. And I don't line up my ball. I don't line up my feet. And I roll like 4 putts before I go play. And I'm a very good putter that I would say is 100% based on feel.
Yeah.
Right.
You just
like
putt freely, eh? Holy.
Yeah. Like I just, I feel it in my arms. I feel it in my hands. It doesn't matter what I'm using. Like just because I'm not using a pistol tour doesn't mean that I don't feel it. But the other thing there is like my definition of feel is different than somebody else's definition of feel.
Well,
right?
I was just gonna say that I'm the complete opposite. I have a line of my ball. I have to line it up. My alignment has to be good for my head, like what I think is good. And I can't stand face insert putters.
Yeah.
It's
yeah, and
like
you would say that feel is
opposite
important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's like shafts, right? You hear this conversation happens a ton in golf shafts because you have the scientific build of a shaft, right? Of what a profile is supposed to do. I'll use Ventus for an example. So I was with the Fujikura guys testing Ventus, and Spencer Reynolds from Ventus was like, we're going to see some interesting stuff because he knows how I swing. He'd seen it before. And it was when the launch of TR was coming out. He was like, we're going to see some really interesting stuff that's going to mess with your head. And I said, okay. So we finished all three. My highest launching shaft was the black. My lowest launching shaft was the red. And
isn't that typically opposite?
It on paper, it should be the opposite. Yeah. And he said, like, and I knew, right? Like, it's all about profile. That handle section of that damn red is just so against my transition that it was just dumping the club head into the ball. And, you know, and on paper, it's like, all right, well, the red's supposed to be higher launching. So if I need higher launching, I'm going to go buy the red. Well, you know, I tell people all the time, handle section and handle section stiffness is determined by your transition. Tip stiffness is determining your impact, right? If you don't do this correctly, I don't care what the tip of your shaft does, because if this is off, your tip isn't going to matter, right? Like that handle, that initial transition in your handle is going to make so much of a difference, and it's so not talked about. Like, but it just goes back to your question of, like, you know, it's not an absolute. On paper, yes, that is a softer tip that's supposed to launch higher, but for me, that handle section got the club head in front of my hands and ended up just dumping the head, so I got no launch out of that shaft. And it's just, you know, I ended up hitting the black and the blue really well, didn't hit the red well,
you can use all the theoreticals you want, really, but every swing, every different person's swing is gonna be different to every single shaft. If that made sense, it made sense in my head.
All right, I got a bit of a
shaft's gonna
question.
react differently to every swing.
I get a bit obsessed with putters, but I do have a question for each one of you. So I'll go with Brycer first. So face insert, you say you just don't like it. Like, is it just you've never found one that you liked?
So I have 4 putters sitting over here currently. I rolled the TaylorMade Ardmore for the longest time because it is one of the best looking putters ever made, in my opinion. But my speed control with it, I could never figure it out.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Sorry.
And I don't know. I can't say it's 100% the face insert, but that's the only thing I could think of. And now I have the Scotty 5.5, which is very similar head shape. It could be different weighting, but very similar head shape. And my speed control, my putting in general, has never been to this level, ever. So I just Pardon me?
What grip do you have on it?
Pretty much the same thing. I have the new Scotty grip, the one that has all like the X's in it on the Scotty, and then on the Ardmore I have the Golf Pride corded one, the gray corded one.
Yeah.
I love that grip though, but that could have been
the same length.
Same length, 35.
Yeah, so it's just because it's either a head weight thing or it's just the insert. Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure the head weights are very similar. I didn't weigh them, but they're almost the same shape. They can't be that far off. So the only thing I related it to is the face insert.
And that's kind of, I asked you that because, like, I used to roll this one, and like I feel like this face died, and like I've had this since I was a kid, and I loved it, but it doesn't have a grip on it right now, unfortunately. But when I tried to go back, when I tried to go back to it, I struggled with like my distance control. Like, never did I really struggle with the alignment at all, but it was the distance control. And then, so my second part to this one, Jake, that I wanted to ask you is, I did try and roll the ER2. Remember, Brycer, I had that ER2 for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's sick.
Great putt. Yeah.
So good. So good. And my distance putting with that was, I think it was 38 as well. And my distance putting with that was amazing. But I found my alignment to be a little bit tougher. Like, I struggled with the alignment a little bit with the arm lock, wrist lock, whatever you want to call it, right? So I found it was a little bit harder to start it on the line I was wanting to start it on.
And were you starting it right or starting it left?
I was pushing. I was always pushing. So I'm a lefty. I was always pushing left. So you're pushing. Okay, so you're leaving the face open impact. What hosel is on the ER2? That's a good question.
It was a plumber's neck.
Do you remember, Bryce? Yeah, I don't remember. So
It was It was
I went
like
through a
this
bunch.
one. Like a
So-
plumber.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right.
This thing's OG, by the way.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
sweet.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
So plumber's neck, you're leaving it a little open, and you're struggling. So that's an offset issue, 100%.
Yeah,
on that head.
it definitely could have been, and it was just like I was going through a little bit of a confidence issue at the time, and then I got kind of back to my
Yeah.
I've been rolling
Yeah,
that.
so
same
these
putter
were
forever,
the
so.
they're almost similar. So I don't think it was. I'm not gonna show the logo because I know but
That's fine.
they're pretty similar grips. So I don't think it would have been a grip
Yeah.
issue. Same height and then very similar head shape. So I assume it's this face insert, that true roll face insert, compared to like the milled face.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah.
Once you
Well,
start
and that's
hitting
like,
the mills, it's hard to go back, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, like I'm putting so well with this TP Juno, but I've like really miss my Toulon. I loved how that putter felt.
what
Just
did you have?
absolutely
Toulon. What'd you have?
Toulon Chicago. So it was like
Blade, right?
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a 1.5 though, so
Yep.
it's a little bit wider.
Yeah.
The thing that I love the most about it is it's very rounded. Like there's no sharp lines on the putter. Other than in the cavity, you'll see 2 sharp lines, but they don't affect your like visuals. But I miss that putter because it was not. I don't like putters that are super soft, and that's a weird take I think for most equipment people. Like Bettinardi makes a beautiful, like milled, amazing putter. They're so soft. It's so hard for me to swag. I hit one of the swag putters the other day. They feel amazing. They look great. I think they get a bad rap just because you know how they work online and stuff. But like, fantastic putters, so incredibly soft that I couldn't tell you if I hit a putt 3 feet or 30 feet. Right, like that's my issue when it gets too soft.
But I feel like that also explains why you're like a face insert guy. Like I feel like you get that response off those those clickier responses off those face inserts.
I just found it was a little bit harder for me after going to a milled face to go back and try to control the distance as much.
That was my big thing with distance.
And I feel like also too, I've probably rolled, I don't know, 7 billion putts with this one, so there is a chance it could be dead. I don't know, like it actually might be. So
sure.
I mean,
yeah,
like my struggles with the face insert got so bad. I'd put 4-foot putts like 3-foot pass, like consistently. Like it was that bad. Like I was one of the I was probably one of the worst putters there was for a bit.
Yeah. And that's how I am with milled putters.
It's like
for
walking
me
it
with
back
milled
to
putters,
we're like walking it back to episode 40 now, just kind of going back to Bryce's
Mac will
putter.
attest to it, man. I would literally come on this pod and just vent about how bad of a putter I am. And now
that was me last year.
Now I just drain bombs. Like I'm draining 40-footers, 20-footers, like no problem. It's awesome.
Yeah, Bryce is gonna get fit, then he's probably gonna win the Canadian Am next year. So
I'm hoping to get fit at Christmas. We'll see. I'm gonna ask for my parents.
not a bad idea. So
but probably not.
We're in conversation with founder of Made for the Range, Jake Morrow. Jake just launched the site, right? So again, it's in the show notes, just below.
Yeah, listening to this right now, everything that I have completed is also live. So I did a slow launch. I announced a sponsor a day. This morning, I announced True Temper as our shaft sponsor and put all those topics up live. And then, like I said earlier, the golf balls is going to be the next section that goes live sometime beginning of September. And then throughout September and October, I will launch woods and putters too.
Nice.
You know, still want to work with people, even if it's not in a financial capacity. Still want to work with people just to make sure the information is validated. That's huge for me.
Well, we were lucky enough to talk with Keenan. He was coming off like a late night. We only got him for a few minutes, but man, that guy knows everything there is to know about the golf shaft.
Dude, Keenan is like, it's funny because me, him, and Mikey will talk.
Oh, that's 3 big brains in the golf industry.
Well, it's so funny because like we have this. I think Mikey said on your podcast actually, where like he wants the shift to happen where like we become the industry inside instead of some of these dudes that have been around for a long time. Like just as like I'd throw Barath in that too with us. I talk to RB all the time about stuff. Brian LaRoche is another guy that I beg him every day to make more content, and he just refuses to. Because he thinks he's too old. He's not, but whatever. Yeah, like those are fun conversations, man. Like if I can get like it's just fun. They're great guys. Keenan has helped me out a ton. He's super up for things too. Like part of the True Temper thing was like me talking to Keenan about it before it ever became a thing. And, once it did, I got to meet with him and Don Brown. I look up to Don Brown a lot just because of like what he's done in the industry and, what his name means around. And like, if there's, to me, like there's like three, like kind of, I don't want to say goats of the equipment industry, but like the three people I look up to the most for sure, Don Brown, Sean Toulon is my favorite human being in the golf industry, hands down. It's not even a question. He is the nicest man on the planet and is, in his position for what he is. I met Sean once for 10 minutes. And then the second time I met Sean, he knew who I was, what I did, and like why I was there with him. And that was, to me, just phenomenal, right? Like you don't get that a lot where somebody at his level is like, hey man, like how are things? He asked me questions, like super cool stuff. So yeah, relationships in the golf industry are, as you guys know, like they're phenomenal, right?
Like Bob Weeks is like that, man. Bob Weeks is like the GOAT in Canadian golf reporting up here. So
that's awesome.
We get on a chat or like, he'll always make time like the night before he flies out to Augusta. And he'll always hop on and be like, how are you guys doing? Like, how are things? Like, he started, it's just, and then before you know it, you're just in the middle of a conversation. It's really great. Bryce is always lighting up like men's league playoffs at that time, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, we actually got our first playoff game this weekend.
The team needs him real bad. But so, madefortherange.com. What else can we expect with the launch, Jake? I know you got a few things going on through social media. You got a lot of stuff behind you. Like, can you tease anything on the pod here before we let you go?
Yeah, I'll tease it all. Actually, might as well.
Let's do it. Why not?
So within the next, well, first off, I think you can read that name, right? Like pretty decently.
I think so.
If you're not watching on
it's in the corner.
Watching on YouTube, I'm sure Mac will put a clip of this or something in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fall off this chair. So this bag is Alex Norton's used in the 2023 US Open. So used on the weekend. This is the bag he used, and then he signed it. And Callaway is letting me give it away. So
awesome.
This is gonna be super cool. That's gonna be a launch giveaway. And then we've got two other things for now because I can't figure out where the fourth one is. This one's gonna freak people out because it's sick. This is pretty obvious what this one is. So it is not a Versa Jailbird. I actually think it's cooler than a Versa Jailbird. So this is a tour-only Callaway Jailbird triple track with a micro hinge star face. So this is a tour-only head. You can't buy this anywhere. Like there's not even eBay people with these. The triple track is also black and white. There's no red and blue. So that's a tour-only thing. And then this shape was only ever made for tour with this face and this design. So it is spec'd out to the exact specs of Ricky Fowler's putter. So it's same loft, same length, same lie, same head weight. So everything is exactly the same. And then I've also got a brand new, still in plastic set of Adele wedges. So I've got a 52, a 56, and a 60. They're absolutely gorgeous wedges. We've got Project X 6.5 wedge shafts in those with some Super Stroke Aztecs on them. And the secret of those wedges is it's not just the wedge being giveaway, but those wedges were actually built on the tour truck from True Temper. Right. So, it's not a lot of people get to play or say they played a club that got built on a tour truck at a tour event. Those did. So that'll be a cool giveaway for people. And then there's a fourth giveaway that I won't talk about because I'm not sure when it's going to happen because I have to find the thing again.
That's cool.
But yeah, we're doing some cool stuff, man. And then I got a bunch of like I said, we'll hop up, we'll regroup in a little bit and talk about 2024 because I am
for sure, man.
As excited as I am right now, I am like itching for some of the stuff that's going to happen in 2024.
I like it, man.
Very cool. Yeah.
It's fresh. Cool. It's always nice talking to you. You're always like so, just hyped up about golf. But hey, if you win those wedges, if you're listening to this pod, you win those wedges, go donate yours to like a junior or something like that. That'd be a good thing because you're not going to play your wedges after you're playing those Adele wedges. Yeah. So just go donate yours. Do a good thing, donate them. Yeah. So your putter, I don't know, like you've learned, you might need to go back to another putter at some point. So maybe keep your gamer that you have right now.
I'd be an extreme hypocrite if I told somebody to get rid of their putter.
Yeah. There's like probably 75 in the camera view over your shoulder right now.
No,
but yeah, man, it's like I really like the idea of you say it's like a learning page, it's a learning center. It's a lot of people are starting to take their game more seriously. Right now, I think in North America, golf is like, don't quote me on this, but it is the most populated sport right now per player, like per athletes and stuff like that, right? So so many people are playing golf right now, and it's really cool to see.
You gotta imagine,
it's
to see guys like DJ Khaled and like all these random celebrities playing golf. I mean, it says something,
Yeah, and like I want to go back to hopefully we weren't knocking on that Kirkland ball because Bryce and I are desperate for a Kirkland signature sponsor. We're that's what we're going for.
I play their wedges.
Everybody else they're going for TaylorMade and stuff like that. We're just looking to get that KSI putter in the bag and some wedges and those new
the new driver,
the new
P790 irons.
I didn't want to say it, man. I was trying to find another way of saying that. We just lost our opportunity, Bryce. Damn it. That's okay though. That's all right. Costco is I don't know, just turn dogs or something like that. 150. I don't know.
Did you guys so speaking of 790s, did you guys watch the Club Champion Canada video on those?
No, I didn't.
No, I haven't watched.
They're nuts though. I did a bunch of research on them and how they're built and stuff. It's bananas what they're doing with those.
Yeah.
He doesn't like them.
So, well, there's a reason for it though, because I think they messed something up, and it's interesting to see how it's gonna fix itself. So, like if you watch Ian and Mikey test those, they tested the pitching wedge. The pitching wedge is weak compared to the rest of the set. So there was like from the pitching wedge to the 7-iron, Ian had like almost like a 60-yard gap, right? Which for a customer aimed at the 790 market is very no bueno, right? Like not good. So it's
because of CG. What is that?
You got to imagine that's the reason. I mean,
okay. So anybody who hasn't watched the video, obviously, you can go back to last week's pod. You can find it. I linked their YouTube channel. But is there 15-yard gapping though between those? Like, is it a standard 15-yard gapping from 7 to 8 to 9 to pitching wedge, or is there?
Well, so they had pitch 7 and
4.
5 or 4. Yeah, I can't remember.
That gapping though in scoring clubs is kind of a lot, man. You get over 10 to 12 yards. You get over 12 yards. That's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was interesting because like they talked about it for a second, but didn't go into it because I think that probably wouldn't have looked great for them. But it's you talk about like that segment of club. I think the 790 has. Well, the original 790 defined that segment of irons, right? Like that's just a fact. Every other manufacturer started going after 790. There was marketing campaigns from what was it? I think the Rogue ST Pro at one point like had a marketing campaign that called itself the 790 killer. Like that's how impactful that club was to golf, right? And it's so interesting though because like the TaylorMade lineup we've talked about before is interesting just because of the gap between MC and 770. But like that 790 club, man, that thing is a workhorse, and I'd hate for that to be the case that like somebody in that segment buying that kind of club ends up having trouble with distance, because like you talk about modern like loft jacking or jumpers or what all these random excuses that people have for not hitting the center of the club face, and it's weird how it's impacting how things are made now, because like why did they have to go that weak with that pitching wedge in a set that is by all circumstances about 3 degrees strong what you think it should be in the first place,
Yeah.
right? Like it's just weird. And I like how they're constructed on the inside was brilliant, super cool. Like that progressive CG is insane stuff. And when you strengthen the lofts like that, you have to lower the CG, and or you want to lower the CG as much as possible because that's the most forgiving place on the iron head, which there's a topic, by the way, on the website. And, you know, once the ball goes so high, then you go, okay, now what we do? Well, we just de-loft it a little bit, and now you have a normal 6-iron flight, even though it's a 5-iron loft, which is what loft jacking is. Just so everybody out there, loft jacking is not taking a club and just bending it strong. That's not loft jacking. Like, the concept of loft jacking is actually a scientific way of helping you hit the ball better. Like, it's a good thing. It's a very good thing.
Bryson DeChambeau is the best example there is about that.
Yeah, loft jacking is a very good thing. There's like the misconception of those clubs jumpers, right? A jumper is not caused by speed. Everybody thinks that parts of the face are so much faster or slower than other parts, blah, 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 blah. A jumper is not caused by speed. A jumper is caused by a decrease in spin, right? There is no other way of putting it. And it's funny because people will be like, yeah, that thing jumped on me. I'm like, well, like, I don't want to be mean, but you finally hit the center of the face, right? Like, I don't know how else to tell you that you finally hit the absolute center of the CG of the face, and the ball went how it normally should, right? On those clubs, it's going to be stronger because those clubs are meant to go stronger, right? Like, that's the whole point. So it's stuff like that. Like, that's the kind of stuff I do cover and I do talk about, and I want people to understand so that, you know, when some golf purist who thinks that everybody should play blades that are all incredibly weak and like your pitching wedge should be 52 degrees, great. If those are the clubs you want to play, more power to you. But I like to play better. So I'm going to play the clubs that help me do that.
I agree, man. I think it's one of those things where, like, Bryce and I have both, well, I've been into my irons for 3 seasons. Bryce's been into his for 6 or 7, right? And it's like, if you're going to find something that you like, go ahead and hit them. But if you're going to find something that's going to make you play better, go ahead and hit them. But remember, a lot of us listen to this podcast are amateurs. We're amateur golfers, and you don't hit the ball as far as you think you do, too. So that's one of those things. So it's true. Bryce hits it further than all of you, too. So it's one of those things, too, right? Where I think there's so much help with golf clubs and stuff now, but I think, you know, you go get fit, you're kind of adrenaline's pumping, stuff like that too. So yeah, just, you gotta, I don't know, get out there and enjoy it, man. I don't know what else to say. There's so much stuff in the golf world, but I don't know, Jake, this is great, man.
Yeah. I mean, I tell, my general advice for pretty much everybody is, if you want to fix your golf game with equipment, right, and you want to do it in the most efficient way possible, make your driver go straight. I don't care what distance that is.
Yeah.
Make it go straight. Fix the lie angles and the gapping of your irons. I don't care what lofts you're playing, as long as your clubs have a good gap and they're all usable at different distances. If you have overlap, you're hurting your game. Your wedges need to be new enough that you're not losing a ton of spin, and they need to be gapped. Like, that's incredibly important. And then your putter needs to be supporting your stroke, or your stroke needs to be supporting your putter. If you don't want to buy a new putter, either way is fine. Doesn't cost you any money. And then get a golf ball and play the same golf ball every time you play golf. I also don't care what golf ball it is. If you pick a golf ball that's technically the wrong fit for you, but you play it for an entire year, you will play better golf because
that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, because you know how it's going to react, like we talked about, like with Bryce playing like the Kirkland Sigs and stuff, right? Like, if anything, like Bryce loses distance with that, which isn't something that you really need. But you know, when you can go with the control and whatnot, and durability and what comes with the ball, like it's when you know how it's going to react.
Yep.
You know, you can't really.
The most amateur strokes are lost because of penalty shots, and that's where you have to hit your driver straight. And I hate people that are like, well, I hate the driver, so I'm just gonna hit 3-wood. No, don't lose 20 yards. Like that's dumb too, right? Like, no, just find a driver that you hit straight, please, because if you're not losing 4 balls around, like 4 lost balls around is 8 strokes, right? Boom.
Yeah.
That is a 20 handicap that now becomes a 12. That's a person that is regularly breaking 85 versus somebody with 1 club of a change who's struggling to break 90, right? Like I could go into this rant about foreplay, but I won't because we could do that in a separate thing. But the fact that Trent hasn't broken 90,
it's unbelievable.
I would be cocky enough to say that I could get Trent to break 90 in 2 weeks.
Let's do it, Trent.
Man,
Trent's handicapped though. He signed an exclusive deal and he can't play other thing.
Yeah. I think wedge gapping is very important too because my pitching wedge is 45 and I go 52, 56, 60. My 52 goes like 125 and then my pitching wedge goes 155. That is a huge gap that I just struggle enormously with. Like if I have a shot at 130, I'm taking my 52, my pitching wedge every single time and looking at them, and it's either soft wedge or hard 52.
Or you got to slam at 52,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I slap it and I dig so hard. I dig so much in my wedge. That's besides the point. But
no, it's not besides the point. Like that is the point actually.
Yeah, I just get so screwed on my 130 shots, and those are the shots you need to have dialed in to score well, in my opinion.
Yeah. So why not get the 52 out of the bag and put something else in?
Kirkland doesn't make it yet.
I don't want to go pay for a new wedge, and I deal with it.
Yeah, it's
what's your gap between your pitching wedge and your 9-iron?
I have no idea. Let me look. Like yardage or
yardage.
You said it's 45 degrees, so your
9-iron. I had my 9-iron like 162, 165.
And your pitching wedge is
150 to 155.
Yeah, that's not a lot at all. That's such a big gap.
I would back your pitching wedge off and just take soft 9s when you need a 155-yard shot.
Yeah, I'm just not the best at taking off.
I understand that.
I find as soon as I start to
full throttle all the time.
I feel that.
All gas, and that's where
you need like a 48 degree.
I think I just need a 50 degree and I'd be fine. I just need to go 50, 54, 58, I think, and I'd be fine.
Yeah. I feel like how many times you actually use a 60-degree wedge like properly, right? So I don't know. I'm just stuck on that point where if I keep those 4 golf balls in the bag, I'll shoot.
Yeah, you're happy.
Yeah, I'll shoot 72, 73 each time.
Yeah.
Yeah, wedge gapping is crazy because like mine's weird. So I play my pitching wedge at 46 degrees, and then I go from 46 to 52 to 56 to 62. Right?
62. Wow.
Yeah, I play 62. And that for me is strictly about being able to get the ball higher.
You ever hit a full shot with that? Ever?
All the time.
Really?
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like multiple times around.
I feel like I just lay the sod over one of those.
Yeah.
No, it's beautiful.
I would just
love that
thin that into the
Is there a lot of bounce on it?
No, it's a Z grind from Callaway, so it's 8 degrees.
You're just nipping.
It's 8 degrees, and so since it's bent back, it's 10 degrees basically. So it's not. I mean, it's not super low, but it's not.
Average,
It's not high. Like I play. The biggest thing I did this year actually to save my game is I stopped using it out of the bunkers. I went to a 56.
Even greenside? Yeah.
Bunkers? Yeah,
Greenside?
any bunker.
Really?
Any bunker within 40 yards, I'm hitting a 56, and I now am actually very confident with it. Just because I've gotten so much better at using bounce. It's funny because like through my research for the site and like through asking people and talking to fitters and like all these guys and stuff, I had this big bounce discussion with a bunch of people, and I actually like using my own information now. I've come to understand why using my 62 out of the bunkers is dumb because it's lower bounce. I yeah, it'll dig, and then it like doesn't come back up obviously because there's not a lot of bounce. But then because I bent it back, I'm also not giving myself any. I don't have a lot of room for error because it's so open. And then when you step into a bunker, the first thing you do is you're going to open the face, and when you're already bent back that far, opening the face just makes it even worse. So it's like if I use it, I have to use it straight. I actually don't open that club if I do use it in a bunker. Like if I have to go up, I obviously have to use it in a bunker. But I don't open it any more than it is. I just lay it flat and I just take like a normal swing basically.
Yeah. Because that thing would just be sliding right through like butter, man. Like
yes. Yeah, you're right, Brett. It's like wedge gapping and iron gapping. And the reason I said that stuff in the order I said it in is because if you stop losing balls without the tee, your score's gonna go down. If you can hit the ball straighter with your irons, score's gonna go down. And I don't care if you buy new irons. Like whatever irons you have right now, if you gap them and you adjust the lie angles to be correct for your swing, you're gonna play better golf. I don't care if they're blades or they're cavity backs. It does not matter. If you're playing a lie angle specifically that's wrong for you, you're losing so much of how the club was designed to go through the turf, right? Like if your lie angle is wrong, the bounce of your club is being negatively affected. The grind of your club, even on irons, is being extremely negatively affected, right? Like, so you're not using the club as it was designed to be used, with just having wrong lie angles. So yeah, no, that's why I said that stuff in that order. Like, the only thing that I believe people should try to go out and buy is like you should have more confidence over your driver than you do in any club in your bag, because it will save you the most strokes as anybody who's not a single handicap golfer.
For sure. It's the best club in my bag.
It's most fun. It's most fun anyway, right? It's most fun.
And die by that thing.
Yeah. It's keeping me from being, I don't know, a good golfer, but I don't know. There's always time for that in another pod. But
like, I'll pull driver on the most non-driver hole just because I trust it so much.
You're so confident in it,
yeah. Some days for me, it's great. Like I missed one fairway the other day, and then the next day I hit one. Like it's just how it goes. It's just how my game is. Like but I don't know. The scores all end up the same somehow. I'm not really sure, but it's all like I don't understand the science to it. But lately, it's
you ham and egg your own game.
It's just been getting bad. It's just we're in a bad place. We're in
yeah,
a dark
mine's
place.
the opposite. I'm down to a .07 right now.
We're having a good time out there.
Trying to get plus. We'll see.
Dang.
That's pretty damn good. At least it sounds like we're a couple of golfers here on the pod. But next year, Brycer's going to go out to Canadian Am. I'm going to get out there for a walk for him. So it'll be a good time.
I don't know. Can I? Yeah, can I? Not being a resident of Canada?
Yeah, you can. Sure, you can. Probably.
Sure, you can.
A lot of guys are like golfing everywhere, all over the world that come in and play.
Yeah,
so.
I don't see why you.
Yeah. So you still have status here, of course, right? So
I gotta grind to be in that kind of form, though.
Ah, man, you'll be fine. We'll make good choices out there. It'll be awesome.
Stay loose and love it.
Yeah.
I'd be down to do it.
This is awesome, man. I gotta do a quick edit on this because this thing's gonna take a little while to upload to YouTube and stuff like that. So I'm gonna get this thing going now. But really appreciate this, man. Anybody who's still following along with us, it's made for the range over on Instagram at Jake Morrow. I don't have this one up. 020.
JMORROW 020. Yeah.
Okay, so again, those are in the show notes below. Go give him a follow. These giveaways are pretty wild, man. It's gonna
these are sick.
Yeah, so go over and check it out. Get involved. Check out the page. The website's down below. And we're gonna do it again, Jake. Hopefully we can do this again the next couple of months or so. This was fun.
Yeah, we got some. Yeah, I'll keep you guys updated, and you guys will get the teasers. I'll make that a thing as we move forward. Like you guys will get the teasers for stuff.
I love it. We love that, man. Right. We love that stuff.
I love being exclusive.
Yeah. Yeah. So
100%. Yeah. I'll commit to that right.
There's no finances here, but yeah, we'll have a good time. We can always talk about it. We can yeah, we always like kind of putting things out there, and the Holo one is coming, my friend. It's coming. We're talking.
Yeah.
We've spoken
Hope
into
so.
existence.
I got the juju with me now. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But all right, boys, have a good night. Until next time, this is like episode 140 something, 48 or something.
7,
like that,
I
so,
think.
Yeah. So pretty cool. We got a couple really cool ones coming up. So
in a row.
If you haven't subscribed to the pod, all of that kind of stuff. Thanks for everything you're doing. Thanks, Jake, for everything you're doing too, man. Just giving people a spot to go and do some learning.
I love it, man.
Why not?
Yeah.
Go check it out.
Yeah, I hope people enjoy. That's all that matters to me.
He's out in my ball in the course where I tee up. I lose the ball and I re-up. I miss a fairway, I probably end up in the ocean or maybe the beach. And I'm on a par 5 and I'm finna go reach it. Second was blind, I ain't see it. Feel like it might be an albatross, worst case scenario.